good day. My name is Joshua, and I'm just gonna be doing the greatest common divisor of strings. So let's just look at the question here. So for two strings s and t, we say that t divides s if and only if s equal to t plus t plus t plus t, i.e. t is concatenated with itself one or more times. Given two strings, string 1 and string 2, return the largest string x such that x divides both string 1 and string 2. So if string 1 is ABC, ABC, and string 2 is ABC, then the output would be ABC. If string 1 is AB, 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 then string 2 would be AB, AB. This is, and then for the final example, we have one where it would return nothing because there is no substring, and the example that it gives where string 1 is lead and string 2 is code. So, getting right into the into some comments here. So we know that basically what they're asking us to find is the largest common substring between two strings, between two string inputs and returning the substring. So essentially, they want us to get a subset or a substring of both of the strings that, when multiplied, could give both strings. In other words, whatever the length of the substring is needs to be a factor of both strings. Sorry. So if we go here now, so if you look at some of the cases, if s and t are the same length and contain the same characters, then the substring would just need to be multiplied once in order to give back both s and t. So they would have the same length and the same characters. Does s and t have no common substring, in which case they return nothing. And well, there's a third one here, I forgot to write it down, but that's if they have different lengths but they consist of the same substring, but that length needs to be, it'll be two cases technically where they have different characters but they just don't contain any substrings. So getting into the pseudocode here. So for I in range of the smallest string, start with the length and decrement. Basically what we want to do is that because we want to find the greatest common divisor, instead of going from the smallest to the largest, we go from the largest to the smallest. Largest to the smallest in the range of the shorter string. And we do this so that when we get the first string, we immediately know that that's the greatest common divisor. If we were to start from the start and go up, then we would have to go through the entire string, and that's a little bit more inefficient. So yeah. So running through this now. If the lengths of the strings are not divisible by I, then we continue. So we know that the length needs to be a factor of both string 1 and string 2. So because we need to multiply it. So once we do that, we get those factors, and then if we were to multiply the string 1, the substring of string 1 multiplied by that factor, it should give the same thing as string 2 by that of string 2, the substring of string 2 by the factor of 2, by the factor of string 2. So a little bit misleading here. There's actually two factors, not just one, because each of these factors would be unique to whichever string you're looking at. So let's just go through the code here very quickly. So for I in the range of the minimum length of string 1, string 2, we finish at 0, decrement -1. If the length of string 1 mod I is not equal to 0, or length string 2 mod I not equal to 0, then we know that there's no factors, so we continue. So otherwise, if it is equal to 0 in both cases, then we find the factor by dividing it by I, and dividing it by I. And then once we have that factor 1, factor 2 for string 1 and string 2 respectively, we multiply it by string 1, and well, it shouldn't really, you could use string 1 here multiplied by the factor, you could use string 1 here, it doesn't really matter, because at that point they should be the same thing. So we multiply that by factor 1, factor 2, and we see if it gives us the inputted string 1 and string 2. If it does equal to each other, then we immediately know, since we're starting from the end going down, we immediately know that this is the greatest common divisor between the strings. Otherwise, if it goes through the entire loop, continuing, then we just return nothing, because we could safely say that there's no substrings. Yeah, thank you.